Hi, I'm Pastor Cliff Reynolds from Word of Life Church, and I have got some exciting news for you today. This will transform the culture that we live in. What God has dropped in my spirit is an option to the critical race theory, and I'm going to call it the Reynolds race theory. Actually, I was a school teacher for 14 years, taught in the public schools, taught in the Christian schools. I have a master's degree plus 5 credits, and was head building teacher in a school for 5 years. But anyhow, I have an education background is what I'm trying to say. But I'm also someone who is open to what God wants us to do. Now, think about this. If we were to have a curriculum in our schools that would tell the children, look, we're to honor one another. We're to honor one another. We are to, in every way that we can do it, we're supposed to honor people. We're supposed to esteem others as better than ourselves. Now, that doesn't mean they are better, but we're to look at them and regard them as better than ourselves. Now, these are just good principles, the golden rule, do unto others as you have them to do unto you. It doesn't matter whether you're brown, black, white, red, whatever your color is, we're all to do this. And so in the classrooms, we need to teach then to honor one another, to be considerate of one another in every way, and no matter what the race, and to esteem one another as better than self. And these are wonderful principles, and it's all about love, and everybody's into love these days, but let's act it out, right? And so I'm not going to get real preachy because this is something that can be adapted to the secular schools, to wherever, charter schools, and like I said, I'm going to call it the Reynolds race theory, okay? And this is going to be something that I think we need an option right now, don't you? I think we need an option. We don't need to teach one another to hate each other. We don't need to teach hatred in our curriculums in the schools, hate one another. No, Martin Luther King says we're to judge one another not by the color of our skin, but rather by the character that is within. And see, some of these secular curriculums on race do just the opposite. They want to judge people based on the color of their skin and not their character. We are not all racists. One little girl came home after hearing a secular presentation in the classroom, and she says, "Mommy, do I hate people? Do people hate me because of my color of my skin?" And so this is a little 5-year-old child that said this. And so, no, but if we're all esteeming or regarding one another with high value, see, this is what we need to do, is actually value one another. Esteem one another. Regard one another as better than ourselves. And if we do this in our actions, what a difference that'll make. Now, when I taught in the classroom, the very first day of school, that's when you set down all your rules as a teacher. Well, I had up on the chalkboard, I had written 2 words. And then I pulled the map down over top of it so the kids couldn't see it. So they all come in the first day of school, and they're wondering, okay, what's this guy like, And I said, listen, I want you to know that I do not have 100 rules to live by, okay? I only have 1 rule. And I'm going to call it my number 1 rule. And it is, here it is. Are you ready for my number 1 rule? 1 rule. That's all you have to remember. Here it is. And I put the map up, and there it was written on the board. Be considerate. And we had children in that, by the way, in those classrooms, all different races, Oriental children. We had black children, had some Hispanic, white kids. But I said, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be considerate. That's my number 1 rule. So if I'm talking, don't you talk. If you're talking, I'm going to listen, okay? And so let's say a child would be talking out loud. When I'm talking, I would say, what's my number one rule? And they'd say, be considerate. Okay, let's do that then. And so I'd address each child that way. For example, if a child hits another child, I'd say, whoa, what's my number one rule? They'd have to repeat it back to me, be considerate. And I'd say, that's very good. That's right. Are you being considerate by hitting him? Or maybe someone throws papers on the floor, and I would say, wait a minute, what's my number one rule? Be considerate. Are you being considerate of the custodian by throwing those papers on the floor, huh? Or maybe a child stands up and gives an answer to a question, and everybody laughs. And I'd say, whoa, time out. What's my number one rule? Be considerate. I'd have them say that back to me, see. And I'd say then, we don't want to laugh at someone's answer, all right? We want to regard them. We want to honor them. We want to esteem them. And I want to tell you something, within less than 2 months, I had the most considerate room. Kids cared about one another. Learning was taking place. They were excited about school because they got their minds off themselves, see. And they were not going to be selfish. They were going to be others conscious and think about others and be considerate. And man, we had a ball. We had a lot of fun in that classroom. But man, what a neat bunch of kids. It took only less than 2 months, okay? But this is the kind of curriculum that we need in our schools, not to teach children to hate one another. There are many people that are not racists. And so to blanket statement and say, well, everybody's a racist. No. That's not true. Not everybody is. And if a person was a racist, is there forgiveness for them? If they're a racist and they ask for forgiveness and they don't want to do that anymore, they don't want to be that way anymore, they want to esteem others and honor others, isn't that great? I mean, they can't they? Some secular approaches are saying, no, there's no forgiveness involved. Well, that's wrong, because we can all be forgiven. We can all change our lives. And I was watching Cornerstone Television, and they had a panel on there, and they had 2 white pastors, 2 black pastors, and a moderator. And they were from the Pittsburgh area, and they all agreed that this CRT is not compatible with a Christian view, or with Christianity, let's put it that way. It's not compatible. It foments hatred and division and strife. And you find many people of color, like Candace Owens, Leo Terrell, David Harris Jr., Alveda King, Star Parker, many of them agree that there's a better way than the CRT. And we'll call it, like I said, the Reynolds race theory, if you want to, just for a name. But listen, let's share this and begin to implement this in our schools. This is what we need. This will transform things. And children will begin to see that the center of their world is not themselves, but there's a big world out there. And we need to be concerned about others, because really the essence of living is giving. And what fosters relationships and cultivates relationships is when we have ourselves off of our minds and we're thinking about others, right? Relationship, if you want to say it this way, relationship vertically to our Creator, and then relationship horizontally to one another. That's the essence of life. That's what life's all about, is relationships, isn't it? Well, we can have some wonderful relationships, and we don't have to listen to these secular views. We can discard them and take up a view that would be love-centered. And so there's a basic outline that the teachers can take and begin to develop in their classrooms. And this will work with whether you're talking nursery or grade school or junior high or high school, and even on into college. And we need to begin to teach this so that our children can grow and mature and cultivate relationships successfully with all walks of life, with all colors of people, And this is what America needs. So I hope this gets out into the world and people begin to adopt this, and teachers will take this basic outline and begin to develop some activities and teachings that will support this Reynolds race theory. Thank you.